What is going on, Faux Reelers? It is time for the Week 3 Ross Report. We'll also take a look at the matchups for Week 4 here. So, jumping into the standings, 3 weeks in, I'm already starting to see, a couple front runners stand out. Up in the north, you got Old Philly is 3-0, and then Al's right behind him at 2-1. And I'm pretty sure his only loss was to Phil. So, and you're looking at total points for. I mean, Al's outscored Phil overall. Phil's got the dubs, so those two are running away with the North so far. Um, Down in the South, it's similar. The highest score down there is I have the highest scoring team down there, which should be a surprise to nobody. I clearly have the best team in the South and probably the best team in the entire league. Some shenanigans in the first week happened, and now got a dub over me. But overall, I mean, I'm smacking them in points. Um, I'm about 60 points over him overall in 2 games. That's or 3 games. That's a 20-point per game average. So the record isn't indicative of how dominant I've been in the South and how dominant I'm going to remain. As far as bottom dwellers, the South's got two 0-3s. So both Tyler and Darryl are both 0-3. Our hope is that at some point this year, I know they will. They're going to play each other, and then someone will get off suicide watch for at least for a week. Up north, though, it's a little more interesting. I mean, it's no secret Paul has absolutely the worst team in the league, but we'll get into the breakdowns, but he's got the worst team in the league, but he's not the worst owner in the league, and we all know who that is. So let's take a look at the matchups for week 3, jump in and kind of break everything down here. So fuck it, we'll start in the South. We'll start with me and Hub. I mean, this game, it looked close, but it really wasn't. This game was over in the fourth quarter of the Cowboys game when Dak dropped like 25 points in 6 minutes. The game was over there. Hubble got a little help. I know he's a religious guy and everything, and God tried to help. He's like, hey, we're going to take out Ramadre in the first quarter with a pinky because that's the only chance Hubble would have of even keeping it close. And God's like we can't let Hubble win because Tony's team's so far superior. But he's a pretty faithful guy. I gotta at least make it look fun. So I know Hubble probably thought he had a chance to get the win. Looking at the points, like I said, 4:00 game started. I knew it was over. I knew that I had moved on to claim another victim down south. So looking at the matchups again, I told you Dak. It was weird. By halftime, I was like, I should have fucking traded Dak. I got Aaron Rodgers on the bench. Do I make a play for Sam Darnold? Do I go after the Red Rocket just to say fuck it? But in the fourth quarter, he exploded. Went from I think he had 8 points going into the third quarter and finished with close to 35. So another week, if Dak shows up and gives me 25 to 30 every week, like he should, I'll fucking run away with this league and it won't even be close. Looking at the other matchups, though, Hubble got a good game from Olave, showed back up, which, in a sense hurts me a little way just because, Saints were if Olave's getting points, then Kamara's not. But Kamara still put up 14 on a down game. So when your RB1 has a down game and he's putting up 14 points, you're going to be in a good spot. Tyler needed more from Keon Coleman. I think he had one drive, he had the touchdown, and then I know Hubble was like, yes, I'm going to, I told you, it was over in the fourth quarter of the Dallas game. Let's see who else here. Bijan, 12 points, 11 from DJ Moore, which is a lot for a Bears receiver. The fact he gave you double digits, you should be pretty excited about that. It was overshadowed by Amari Cooper's dominant performance. So this, Amari, as I watch these Browns games, I told you last week, he's dropped touchdowns in games 1 and games 2, obvious touchdowns. He caught 2 in this last week's game. So, really, he should have 4 touchdowns on the season, another 70, 80 yards total, which makes him would put him in the top 10 of wide receivers. So, if he keeps catching passes, I mean, Watson don't throw a lot of good ones, but he tends to find Cooper open from time to time. That Cooper pickup is going to be big for me as long as he doesn't drop touchdowns like he's been doing. So he should have 4. He's actually only got 2. I talk about fluky stuff. We having one loss. That's one of them. If Cooper catches that touchdown in the first game, I beat Nile. So, but neither here nor there. I mean, overall, I got 0.3 points from Ramadre. Again, that was Hubba getting some help from the football gods here, but it just wasn't enough. So, Hubba's looking to keep going. I think Hubba's probably got the second best team in the South overall, but it's thin. If he has something happen, if he has a down game, if Lamar's on a bye, let's see who his backup is. Ooh, it's Kirk Cousins. He's got Justin Fields. He's got three uh, quarterbacks here. So if Lamar's on a bye, he's going to struggle. If Lamar has a down game, he's going to struggle if he tweaks an ankle. So Hubba's going to have a solid team this year, but it's paper thin. All right, let's see who's next. All right, keep it down here in the South. Let's hop into Daryl and Strasser. I don't want to get on Daryl too much at this point because I'm gonna clap his cheeks this week. And really, it's tough for Daryl. He's 0-3. He's coming off a championship, which is fucking embarrassing. I don't know is it more embarrassing for Daryl to win a championship and then you're going to start 0-4 because I'm going to clap you? Is it more embarrassing for him to win a championship and then start 0-4, or somehow overall us as a league allow someone who's clearly awful at fantasy football to win a championship? I mean, it's happened before. I mean, Eric's won twice. I mean, so shit happens. I mean, the most awful players in the league win championships, except for Jeff. He's just awful and doesn't win. But Eric's won twice. So, which is more embarrassing, I guess? Allowing someone like Daryl and Eric to win championships, or to win a championship and then follow up with a fucking goose egg. So, jumping into this game, I thought Daryl had a chance because Strasser also not a strong owner overall. Where Daryl hurt is CJ didn't show up. So Daryl lost by 10. Stroud only gave you 14. So that's really the biggest difference there. CJ Stroud didn't have a CJ Stroud type game. Strasser got a huge game from Taylor. The Colts. It's one of those things with Anthony Richardson where he's going to steal your goal line carries or he's not. So Jonathan Taylor, I think, broke a 30-yard one, which is probably what helps because as soon as they get on the goal line, they're going to run that Anthony Richardson deal. So and he also got a big game from Charbonnet in Seattle. So the Kenneth Walker injury helped Strasser, and that's really what fucked Daryl over. I mean, if you're looking at he got 50 points from his two running backs and still only beat Daryl by 10, the truth is Daryl probably should have won that game. All right, so anything crazy on the bench here? Nope. Strasser is holding on to Caleb. That's going to be his keeper next year. 23, so it's probably his best game so far. But I don't see anything else here worth bringing up too much as far as bench players or something where somebody missed out. All right, so let's see what else. Who else we got in the South here? Well, the last game of the South for last week was Now and Tyler, and I was watching the games with Tyler, and it just wasn't fun. I mean, we were watching the Browns game, which made it miserable. But Tyler watching Derek Carr follow up like a 35-point performance last week, and then a week before, I think he had 28 or 29. So basically, back-to-back 30-point performances. To pick him up and watch him drop 10, while also watching Danny Dimes put up like 24, it's got to be the worst feeling in the world. I mean, it's got to be. So not a happy day for Tyler. Niall is 3-0. But it's smoke and mirrors. It's a total fluke that he's not at least 2-1. Tyler should have beat him this week. Again, Derek Carr didn't show up. He beat Tyler by 9, but no Derek Carr show up. Let's see where else. Tyler got a -2 for the Raiders defense. Generally you get 5 or 6 from your defense. So those two plays alone, if Derek Carr throws one more touchdown and the Raiders don't have such a horrible day on defense, he beats Niall. On Niall's side, he got 0. He played Shaheed, got 0 from there. So that's something Niall can kind of push back on and say, I beat you with one of my receivers scoring 0, which absolutely happened. But he got 40 from Allen. So again, it's the fluky thing. Like it was the worst defense I've ever seen. Like the Dolphins. Was it the Dolphins? I'm sorry, not Dolphins. Jacksonville's D and Florida teams. I mean, it was just it was like 30-0 at halftime. Like 30, it was ridiculous. So he got 40 from Allen. He got. This is the only game he didn't get 20 from his damn kicker too. So Tyler had every chance to beat him and just couldn't show up. So let's hop up to the north here. All right, starting with Mike and Al. Al smoked him, won by damn near 30. Looking at the matchups, Mike got some help. Joe Burrow had his best game of the year. Which is he's 0-3, but it's his best statistical game of the year, so that helped. And then Kyler had a down game. So, I had Kyler Murray a couple years ago, and it was the same thing here. It's like one game, he's got 36, and then the next 3 games he gives you 17, 15, 12. So that's the kind of game Al had with him this week. Didn't get much from Kyler, but still was able to beat Mike by close to 30. So when you're looking at the entire team, Saquon Barkley's having a fucking huge year. Damn 32 points from Saquon. He got almost 11 from Nico, but then he got 21 points from Green Bay. So, those are the fluky things that happen. If Green Bay has an average defensive game, 7, 8, 9 points, Mike's closer, but 21. And then looking at Mike's team, he still has to play Jerome Ford. He's not wrong for playing Jerome Ford. He's forced to, and it sucks because the Browns' offense is bad. It's not that Jerome Ford's bad. I think he's a pretty good running back. It's just that our coach is a fucking idiot. So it's like, hey, why run with Jerome Ford, who had 1,000 yards last year and like 9 touchdowns? Let's give it to fucking Deshaun Watson on 4th and 1. And then the play he called on 4th and 1 was a pass play, and there was a guy literally wide open, it's a tight end. And then yesterday in the little press conference, Watson's like, oh, yeah, I saw that guy wide open. This is literally what he said. Yeah, but that guy was a decoy. Oh, so one of 2 things are true. Deshaun Watson's a fucking idiot and didn't see a wide open tight end for a first down on 4th and 1 on the drive to tie the game. Or Stefanski's just stupid and it's like, hey, I'm going to design a play that's so good, there's going to be a guy wide open. And he's so wide open, it's going to fool everybody else to stop the running play with your quarterback that doesn't like to get touched. So one of the 2 people are idiots. They're likely both fucking idiots. But Mike stuck with that. He stuck with playing Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford should be getting 20 to 25 carries a game. That's how bad our passing offense is. We couldn't. The Giants had like 9 sacks, like 6 in the first half. We can't pass block. We had some injuries, and we have a bad left tackle. We had a left guard playing left tackle against an all-pro pass rusher last week. So what do? Do you put a tight end on that side of the field to help? Nah, no, I'm not going to do that. Fuck that. Joe Antonio, figure it out. But you also run the ball. Run the ball. If you can't pass block, run the ball. So he didn't, and Mike's stuck with a pretty good player that can't put up points. So all right, and then stepping up in the north here, we got Phil and Jeff, and Jeff. His team just didn't show up. Phil's team didn't play great. 112 points. Generally, to really have a chance to win in this league, 100's the minimum. 110, you're okay, but in the 120 to 125 range, you'll probably win 80% of the time. Putting up 71, unless you're playing Paul, you're never going to win. So, looking at the matchups here, both quarterbacks didn't play well. Baker had his first down game of the year, put up 11 points. Anthony Richardson can't throw the ball. He also didn't run a lot, so he only put up 7 points. But Phil had the sub of the week. He played Juwan Jennings, got 41. That was the biggest difference. He won by 40 essentially, but so he would have won either way. But that was a hell of a play, and overall, because of Jeff's team just not showing up at all. He had a total of 2 players in double digits. One was his tight end, one was his quarterback. He got a total of 10 points from his 2 starting wide receivers total. I'm sorry, he also had Cook. He had 16 from Cook. So you had 23 points from both your running backs and 10 points from both your wide receivers. There's just no way you can win. And then the last game down there, up there in the north, was, the game of the week. Paul hadn't won a game, hadn't come close to winning the game, hadn't scored over 70, I don't think. And if he did, it was an accident. But the good news is he played Eric, kind of on the back end at the tailgate, and when we're on Fortnite playing, he's like, yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, my team's really good. Like, I lost week 1, but I put up like 120 points, and this is bullshit. And, just he's so certain that his team's good. And honestly, it is. It's better than Paul's. It really is. But Paul got one of those fluky wins, which you got to kind of be happy for Paul. I mean, Eric ruined the greatest bit we've had going on for a while. Is Paul possibly losing every game? Which, I mean, if Paul wins another game this year, I'd be pretty happy for him. I'd be annoyed because it won't be as funny, but I'd be happy for him. But for Eric to fucking blow it and ruin the bit after just 3 weeks is just really unforgivable. What makes it okay for me, though, what makes it a little bit more enjoyable, is that the truth is Eric got to watch it live and in living color. He was in person. He was at the game where Jamar Chase caught the 2 touchdowns, which is he lost by half a point. Well, Jamar put up 2 touchdowns in your face in front of you, and you're probably was drinking, so you're kind of in your view, so you don't pay attention anyways. You're like, oh, this is fucking great, yeah. Oh, you just lost to Paul. No matter how well Jaden Daniels played, no matter how great it was to go down and beat the Bengals, which is fucking great for me. I love the 0-3. I love that the Commanders beat them. But to do all that and know that when you got home, you had to realize, fuck, I lost to Paul by half a point. It's got to be the most brutal feeling in the world. And I love it. It's one of those things where it's like we all win, but we all lose. We all win because, goddamn, of all people, Eric, who just, if anyone was going to lose to Paul, it made the most sense that it was Eric. I hate that Paul got the dub because I wanted to keep busting his, and we will. I mean, his team's awful. So, we're down now. We don't get to clown Paul, but we're going to have our chance here in 2 days, 3 days. So, Ross Report week 4, I'll be able to jump back on Paul's ass and clown him. So we'll get it back, but, we did lose it, and just wanted to thank Eric for that. So, all right, so let's look at week 4 real quick. Some good matchups here. We're still north-south. We're not doing any crossovers yet. I think that starts after this week. But, so we're still playing interconference. I'll start with my game just because there's not much to talk about. I'm going to destroy Daryl. Yahoo agrees. They don't think I'm going to destroy him, but I am. I'm worried about Daryl's mental health. Not enough to do anything other than clap his cheeks, which I'm going to do. Looking at the matchup here, Dak against the Giants tonight. I mean, that's the good news for Daryl, is he's going to know at 10:30 tonight when he's going to bed. When Dak puts up 35, he's like, fuck, I don't even got to worry about Sunday. I mean, it's fucking over. At least you go into the week knowing you're going to lose and not have this hope. Like, hey, man, maybe nothing's going to happen. Dak's going to play well tonight. He's going to put up a ton of points, and the game's going to be over tonight. So, looking at the other matchups here, the only question for me is Devontae Adams, just because he's playing against the Browns defense. Although, Danny Dimes in the first half, he didn't do shit in the second half. In the first half, he scored 2 touchdowns, kind of pissed all over us. So, maybe Devontae has a pretty good game to start, but generally the Browns D will show up eventually and shut him down. But you love the matchup of, Kamara and the Falcons. I love Breece Hall in Denver. The Browns D is horrible sometimes with tight ends. They get open. So Brock Bowers is probably going to get a tutty. So I think Yahoo has it 109, 107. I'll probably score 140, and Daryl will probably put up 92. So probably 50. I'll probably win by 50. So, all right. Who else we got here? Next one on the list. Let's just go down the fucking list instead of jumping around. Is Phil and Paul. I mean, it's going to be bad. Right now, Paul's starting Jared Goff. Phil's starting Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy had, I think it was a shoulder or something that I saw on one of the reports. So maybe that helps Paul, but overall, Paul's team is just bad. I mean, Jamar Chase is your only hope against Carolina. Carolina looked good last week with Andy Dalton, but. So hopefully for you, Carolina puts up a bunch of points, so they have to throw, and they've just kind of like they did with the Commanders. If the Commanders didn't put up so many points, they would have ran the ball all night, and Jamar wouldn't have got both touchdowns. So, that's the hope for you, Paul, is that the Red Rocket comes in and slings it around, scores a bunch of points, and Joe Burrow's got to keep up. But I don't think that's likely. Yahoo has it close. They have Phil -6. Paul's not scoring 96, which is what Yahoo thinks. Paul's scoring 62. Nah, I'm sorry. I'll give him 72. Paul's going to score 72. Phil's going to score 104, and that's going to be the final. Next one down, you got Al and Jeffro. So this week, they got Yahoo's got Al favored, by 16. Looking at the matchups, it really comes down to Baker. They got Baker. They think Baker's only going to score 17. If Baker can give you, 25, that's going to be the difference. Kyler Murray. Again, it's early, but the Commanders' D didn't look bad. When I watched the other night, they gave up points, but that was Joe Burrow playing well, throwing the ball a lot. I don't think Kyler Murray's going to be able to run around on them like he has been. So that's going to be where Jeff has a chance is if Baker overperforms and Kyler underperforms. Other than that, the matchups are pretty close. Assuming Devontae Smith is fine and he's questionable, so I'm sure he's playing, but he's a little dinged up. But I like CD Lamb over him, especially with the game tonight. So that's going to give Jeff the advantage. Where Jeff's in trouble is the running backs. He's got Achane and Barkley, so he's going to have a down game for Barkley to have a chance. I don't think Al wins by 16. I do think he wins, but I don't think he covers. I'll say Al by 2 or 3. So I'll go 105, 102 Al. And Jeff's team plays well, but it won't be enough to win. All right, moving on down here. So Niles up. Niall and Strauzer. Niles favored by 7. I'm taking Strauzer in this one just because Niles wins, or Tim's wins, whoever it is. I've been kind of fluky. He should have lost to Tyler, should have lost to me. So that's going to eventually come back and hurt him. Mahomes got, Strauzer's got Mahomes, so he's going to give you 30. What's interesting, though, is that Tim or Niall, I would maybe think Niall because he's a Commanders fan, but Tim's kind of pulling the strings there. He's starting Jaden Daniels. So that's going to make or break. I know Jaden had a huge game, but he threw his first touchdown pass in week 3 to a fucking fat lineman. So he ran the ball well. Week 1 and week 2, no touchdown passes. Was that his coming out party? Maybe. But to start him over Josh Allen is pretty fucking fun. I'm at least interested to see what happens. But I think that's what's going to bite Niall in the ass. And I'm going to take the Dreamcocks to upset Niall. It's Niall -7. I think Dreamcocks wins 98-96. Close game. The difference is going to be that Jaden's going to not score enough to win the game. All right, moving on down to Hubba and Tyler. Tyler needs this. He really does. Let me see what Tyler's doing here. So Tyler hasn't made the move yet. He picked him up. So this is just a guess. I'm guessing he's starting Darnold. He's got the Justin Jefferson connection, so it makes sense. I don't know who else he has. Let me see. Darnold, Love. Now, Love's questionable. He's been practicing, so maybe that's why Tyler's waiting to set the lineup. But we're going to go with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's 17 points. That puts Tyler at 96. So with a Sam Darnold start, Yahoo's got Tyler favored. I'm going to go with Tyler on this one because just like Darryl, he needs it. He really needs it for his mental health. So Darnold, I think, will play pretty well. Him and Jefferson will team up for a couple tutties. That's going to give him enough. CJ Stroud's going to bounce back, which means Diggs is going to have a big game. So I think Tyler probably has his best game of the year, puts up 125 points. Hubba squad, they'll play chalk, 95, 96 points. But I'll take Tyler, minus 20 on this game. And then the last game is Mike and Eric. Eric's favored right now. Yahoo's got him a -4 favorite. Looking at the matchups here. Again, I think Joe Burrow is going to need to have a 30-point game for Mike to win, which means the Red Rocket's going to have to score on him, which the Bengals defense is fucking awful, so it's very possible. But I think that hurts Eric overall because I think Jalen Hurts, he's usually a fantasy, monster because he does everything. He runs the ball and all that shit, but he's really not that good. Man, that's a close game. Yeah, I hate to do it. I'm going to take Mike. Looking at the matchups, Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's Tim Boyle's the quarterback. Tyreek's not scoring 11 points, which is what Yahoo says he is with Tim Boyle. Dolphins got to do something. They got to call, trade for Jameis Winston, do something, sign Tannehill, or Tyreek Hill is going to be useless this year. And then that's good for someone like Al, who has a running back, and Tyler, but most of it's hurt, so it doesn't help this week. But Tyreek Hill's not going to help Eric. And Eric, you need to trade him while you can and try to get something out of him, because as long as Boyle's quarterback and even Skyler, he ain't going to do shit. And it's that matchup there. I mean, St. Brown's going to play well. Evans is going to bounce back. Mike's still got to start Jerome Ford. Again, it's not a knock on Ford. It's just our offense, the way we call plays. He doesn't get goal line carries like he should. They'll bring in Dante Foreman for the goal line carries, or they'll just let fucking Watson run around and throw it to somebody. So, but Mike is a 4-point dog. I actually will flip that. I'll take Mike -4. So final score of 107-103 for Mike. So that's what I got for the week 4 matchups. So Mandy Sixpack, she was 1-5 last week. It was an awful week for her. No, I'm sorry. No. She was 5-1 last week. She lost the Niners game. This week, I fucked up when I put the bet in, because it's usually just money line. But I picked the spread this time because I wasn't paying attention. So her parlay is $5 to win $228. So if you want to tag along to this parlay, she is taking the Cowboys -5.5, the Bears -3, the Eagles -1.5, the Niners -10.5, the Chiefs -7, and the Seahawks +3.5. So those are her picks. 5 to win $228. So it's a pretty good payout. I haven't told her yet that I didn't do money line, so she's probably going to win all these games and think she's winning money. And then one of them's going to be the spread's not going to cover, and she's going to learn about spreads. So insert your favorite, dick joke here when learn about spreads. But yeah, that's it. That's what I got for this week. Big week in college football. The night games are awesome. So 3 really good really good. Ohio State's going to destroy Michigan State. But Alabama, Georgia, and then Penn State, Illinois. All those games are 7:30 kicks. So that'll be fun. Short of that, that's all I got. That's it. Until next week, keep it faux real, faux life.